Southwest Black Chamber of Commerce 5th Annual Expand Men's Conference. Again, I'll be your host and MC. My name is Marvin Jackson. I'm Archer Western Contractors based out of Irving, Texas. We have a good event for you this evening. Let's get ready to bring your keynote speaker to the stage. Let me turn. I'm not going to read all this because, I mean, we know who he is already, right? We've seen the great work. We've seen the history. Page 1, 2 pages in, you'll see the Greald story. You see the history and the About Us page. You go a few more pages in, you'll see Lifetime Achievement recipient. So right now, if you get ready, please put your hands together. Welcome to the stage, President of Greald Construction and Real Estate, Mr. Greald Alley.
Got a little height challenge by this young man. First of all, thank you. Good morning. How's everybody doing? Good. My name is Greald Alley, and I'm representing a company called Greald, and we're proud to say we're celebrating our 40th year in business. The first question I want to ask myself, I ask you all, can I see this picture? Who is this young man here? Who is this young man? Son? All right. Thank you for honoring me to give the time to walk down memory lane. I'm going to follow that lead and take you down memory lane. I'd like to thank the Chamber. I'd like to thank Linda and the rest of the members, as well as having a fair in the community to celebrate and also educate us in this business and the business in general. One of the things I'd like to start out with by saying is that I've being given a lifetime award. And when I think about that, I think about the Oscars. And I always think, here comes some old person that never won an Oscar. They drag them up and say, hey, you want to get the lifetime award. That means you're not getting an Oscar. So, but I do appreciate the recognition of the tenure we've spent. And one of the things that I admire most about this whole journey is not any minor successes we had on the way, but our ability to understand challenges and understand failures. And I coined this 3.5-hour speech by just saying, you get it, just kidding. To say our failures are our true measures of success. We've all been in life and we go through failures. And failures are temporary. That's the first thing I want to say. And what we have to do is measure the failure as a moment of lesson. The moment of lesson is where you look at in the abyss and you have no answer. And you say, the only thing I got is will to continue after this failure. So what I'm gonna take you is down memory lane. I'm north of 60, so I'm gonna do it in decades. And from that, you can probably understand the journey we're constantly on. First of all, a little bit about my background. They said, I am from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. And I grew up in the pre-civil rights area. And in that area, we had a unique town in Pine Bluff. About 50,000 individuals, 45 miles north, south, east of Little Rock. But uniquely back there, we had a town that was majority African American. We had a town of entrepreneurs. We had a town that had a local college. We had a town with 4 high schools. That means you could fight people of your own color on any side of the town. And from that, we learned we were in a sort of unique space in a small town in Arkansas. And we saw a lot of people, and I lived literally a block off the campus. And from that block off the campus, I was raised by a mother and a father. My father was a businessman. He had a service station business. From, at that time, Arkansas A&M, which is Historical Black College. My mother was an educator, but she stayed at home to raise 5 of us. And we grew up very humble beginnings. And the thing that kept ringing out, don't spend things on what you want because you're gonna need it. You're gonna need that money when you need it. My father's key to success, and I would always, what's the key to success? He said, getting up early and staying late. My mother's thing was, get the best education you can and help somebody along the way. So during that time, you know, growing up, you really don't follow what your parents say when you're young. And I was typical of that. I was the youngest of 5, so I learned from my siblings what stretch you can do and get away with. But we did break every labor law because he worked us when we were kids, free labor, and we wouldn't even have the nerve to ask, you want to give us any money for working? Because he'd just look at you. So after graduating from high school, I lived across the street from the campus, so I said, well, I'm gonna go over here to this campus and have a good time. And my mother had a different vision. She said, no, I need to send you to the University of Arkansas. Now, the environment at the University of Arkansas back in 1969 was, I go from like I said, a small black town with none but us hardly in it, at least half of us in it, to an all-white city in the mountains with an all-white university. It was that dramatic shift that pushed the issue of challenge and change. But I still had my DNA that I liked socialization. So when I get to campus at age 16, I moved off campus and I created a party house. And I took more classes than I should have, and I realized at the end of, getting to the end of the first semester, my grades were underwater. And I had to go home, and Christmas that time, the semester break, you go to your Christmas break and then you come back and finish your exams. I get home, and the first thing I see my father, he said, don't mess up my money. And that's the clean version. So I said, okay. So we have Christmas, and the day after Christmas, I tell Mom, I gotta go back to school. She said, well, I just gotta go back. I didn't have a place to stay because they threw me out of the house where I was staying in. So I go back and I stay in the bottom of the dormitory 2 weeks, studied day and night, 2 weeks. And my biggest fear was not flunking out, is going back and see this man that I messed up his money. So after a long journey of that 2 weeks, I came back and I missed probation, being on probation by 2 decimal points. For me, it was okay. I'm not on probation. My grades are still not good, but I'm not on probation. Fast forward to my first, so that was the lesson I took away from that was things look very dismal, but the will to continue to fight in those 2 weeks, I studied more in those 2 weeks than I did that whole semester. And that's what I think I learned from my mother and my father is never over until you quit. Now we go to my first job here in Dallas. I was working at a store. Anybody know a store named St. Harris? It was part of the Federated chain, which became Foley's and now Macy's. And I was there as an assistant to the assistant to the assistant. So, but I went home and said I ran the store. So when I realized my career wasn't going well, I called my mother very desperate, saying, I don't think I'm gonna make it here. And she said, well, you know what your problem is? I said, what, they got to get me wrong. She said, no, you need more education. I said, more education? I got a degree. She said, you need to get a master's degree. I said, master's degree? So I followed her lead. I interviewed several colleges around here. And I was pretty depressed because one college officer said, we can give you an undergrad degree. I said, I got an undergrad degree. And they said, and on the way home, taking the bus home, because I didn't have a car here, I lived in Fitzhugh. And they said, there's a college up there, it was called SMU. They said, that's where rich elite kids go. I said, I'll take a swing at the bat. Went in, talked to the people. They asked me about my background, they asked about my grades, and I said, can we talk about something else? And I learned the word Calvin-Trian. I told the guy, I said, if you look at my freshman year to my senior year, it was a positive trend. But because my freshman year was so bad, no matter what I did in my junior and senior year, it just averaged out. So I turned the table and said, it's not about me, it's about you, SMU. You have not built people who can build wealth on the other side of the freeway. So you failed as a university. I said, I hadn't heard of it. I said, if you gave me an opportunity to do this, I get in business, and from there I can come back and represent, and you'll be a full-fledged university. He sat there and he said, well, I don't know. I said, am I wrong? He said, well, write me a business plan. Learn from that. You write a business plan. In a business plan, at that time, you write your expectations. You don't write where you are. So I wrote the business plan, came back, and little did I know SMU was trying to get some semblance of diversity. And they pulled this sheet out and they said, why don't we get this guy a shot? They said, but you know, we're not gonna change any rules. It's a one-year program, can't make less than 1B one semester. All the classes are very tough, and I don't know if we're gonna let you in. They said, one question, now, we are pretty pricey. That's what I feel, you guys got the money. He said, okay, let's look at it. So I get the invite, come in SMU, take the program, halfway through the program, straight A's, because I'm focused now. I'm working 40 hours a week, but it's not like not being respected at the store I was at, so I was pretty excited about that. And I learned one thing, the guy said, when you come here, we expect you to be leaders. I looked to my right, I looked to my left, and I said, these guys want to be leaders, and I don't have to do all the number crunching. That works for me. Get through SMU, first opportunity I had, and I've worked for 3 individuals in my life. My father, the gentleman at Sanger Harris, and this gentleman right over to my right, Calvin Stevens. He had just finished SMU, and we started an incubator program to help small businesses. And from that, they put me in charge of assisting contractors. And my background was finance, so they said, the number 1 goal you gotta get is get these contractors to get a bond. And I said, okay, what's a bond? They said, so I go to the insurance company and say, this guy needs a bond. Little did I know that was a whole challenge. And from that, I left Calvin and started a consulting firm to help small contractors. Year and a half into it, they cut funding. So one of the things of being younger than everybody else in my family, you learn from others. So I had a list of all the problems that small contractors had. And I listed them down. I said, if I don't do that, then the difference is I could probably take a shot at it. So instead of facing the problems that others had faced, I faced it, but I saw what worked and what didn't work. Well, now we started this in 1979. We now have changed from consulting to construction. So big failure, big loss. But I go and we start the business and we learn to change when the market changed. Now I go to 10 years later, 1989. So it's this 9 and this 10 thing is going to make sense at the end, or you get it on the way home. But in 1989, I was doing the largest projects in Waco. It was a VA hospital. And got upside down with the project. And 10 years in business, I thought after 7 years you got it down. But 10 years in business is your first gut check. We were losing so much money on that project, I had to go down and relieve the entire staff, but the youngest person on the staff. So we had a staff of 8 to run that job, management-wise, 40 in the operations field. We boiled down to him and I. We were fighting the VA, we were fighting every subcontractor there. And the bonding company was on our backs, and we said, it's no way out. Well, first of all, I hate the sound, but I got very religious at that time. You know, you find where your capabilities are and what your limits are, you're gonna have to go to God. I did that, and then God said, get up and go to work. So I went, and we fought through that. We fought through that, and we ended up working through the VA, but something happened. While we were fighting the VA, we had somebody we knew in California that Kaiser Permanente had pulled out of Texas, moved to California. They were looking for a firm to do medical. Now, we had a historical psychiatric hospital where nobody that looked like us had an experience. They hired us in California to run a project at no risk for $200 million. So we went from failure to change, and it's your theme, say expand, and we took that failure and used it as something of experience. So we were going pretty well. Now we're up at 1999, we're 20 years in business. I'm saying, well, you know, things got to settle down. Get the DART project. It was a DART project. It's a $20 million project. The largest project DART contracted with an African-American firm, building a bus maintenance facility. Got upside down with that project. So bad that we end up losing about 6% of our equity. And it's a hard lesson to lose what you saved up. But my father's point came back to me and said, remember, don't spend money that you want because you want to need it, because one day you're going to need that money to get you out of trouble. We were able to overcome that project, and we were able to transfer our business into another model of business, which not only kept our existing model of business, but we learned from don't always put your eggs in one basket. He just talked about plan B. You always need to have a plan B. So we ended up protecting our assets, the remaining assets we had in the company, finishing the project. And I kept saying at that point, what's more valuable? Saving the dollars I had or saving our brand? And I was talking to an attorney, had several attorneys at the time, and he was saying, well, you know, we can jettison one company off and we put asset protection here, and you might have to get rid of Greald, and you can have a few dollars you have left because you put all your money in one basket. And I made a conscious decision to say, at that time I lost my parents. I said, he kept his station 47 years, it's Alex SO service station. I said, we're going to keep the brand, we're going to fight through it. Lesson number 2 was that while things are rough, God got me out of that VA job, he needs to get me out of this. Got that done, got it resolved. We're going pretty good, okay? So we resolved that. So the lesson learned from the failure we had was you offset some of your failures with other alternatives and other methods to overcome your lessons. Now in 2009, okay? 2009, 30 years in business. We had changed our business model from in Grand Prairie, we moved to Arlington because we felt Arlington was the center of the universe, and I got my counselor right in the center right here to prove it. And we said we need, the problem is we don't really have a base like most big companies. They have a connection with the city they're in. I lived in Arlington, but I really wasn't connected. I worked out of Arlington, I worked out of Grand Prairie, and I had offices in Dallas. But I said it's more important when you look at these companies. All companies go through ebbs and flows, successes and failures. And that's why you need a public entity to support you, because you're going to support them, because you're going to hire the employees, you're going to have more invested into it. So we, after having the scenario, we left Grand Prairie, went to Arlington, got involved with the community Boys and Girls Club, YMCA, started giving back. I said, well, maybe our problem is we're just doing business, we're not really involved in the community. But that was very much inspiring to us as we found that business and relationships and community are all weaved together for your outcome. In comes Jerry Jones with Cowboy Stadium. We had worked that thing all the way from Arkansas to Arlington. We thought we were going to be part of that stadium. We knew we were going to be part of that stadium. We had the commitment from the owners, Stephen, Jerry, everybody we part of the stadium. Matter of fact, we took people from church to promote that stadium. And we got down to the point after the vote was held, they said, well, you know, it really doesn't work for us. I walked out of city council at that time, and a pastor friend of mine called me and said, Gerald, I know you're down and out about this. He said, but you know, sometimes God may have a plan. If you work for something as hard as you can, do the best you can with it, and you don't get it, maybe 1 year deal. That didn't feel good at the time, but I remembered again what my mother said, always look for another alternative, always expand. So I said, you know, really, what is going to change by Arlington, by the Cowboy Stadium? I said, I need to get involved. I joined the Arlington Convention and Business Bureau, and then we did a study and found out the biggest impact is hospitality. So naturally, we tried to get people to move hotels from hospitality. Ran into a friend of mine and said, you know, you're getting people to try to build hotels. Why don't you build your own hotel? And thought about that. Well, in that year, we ended up buying property on both sides of I-30 because we had failed to get the Cowboy Stadium, and every piece of property we had was prime property because nobody really responded that fast. Then we went to hotel owners, Marriott and Hilton, and said, I'd like to build a hotel. had a hotel experience. I said, check in and check out. They said, okay. So I said, look at the property. They looked at the property and said, well, we could get somebody to own it. I said, no, we want to own it. They said, okay, if we manage it. I said, we'll think about that. They ended up giving us the franchise and approval of the Hilton and the Marriott and Hyatt's, and we had 3 properties, all prime properties. When we sold it to, we said, go with the best you got, and we built the first hotel in Arlington in 21 years, a Hilton Garden Inn, after this one. And it became the highest revenue park hotel. And my message is, the failure was not getting the Cowboys Stadium. That was the opportunity that would have given me time to focus on something else. And focus on something else is where a lot of times we slip. We slip and we garner in failure. But failure is an opportunity for success and expansion. So I'm gonna go back a little bit. And in 1995, which is an odd year from the Nats been going with, we tried to do the Rangers Stadium. And the politics wasn't right. We wanted to do the suites and things of that nature. And they let us build a prototype. Came out very well. They said, no, we got one contractor. We don't believe in sharing this with. Well, I have to say, 25 years later, we're building all the insides of the Rangers Stadium today. And that says to me, longevity is an opportunity that you have to look at in the long game. And when we also built the Lowe's, Live by Lowe's, we built Texas Live. Over in Arlington, we're doing over $250 million worth in our hometown. And that is not a short story, that's a long story. Anthony Sampson was with us when we tried to do the other stuff. He's in the back, his insurance company, agency, great insurance guy. That's a plug for you, Anthony. Stand up MC. And one of the fights that we have is the tenacity and the willingness to lose and regroup. And one of the things I can tell some of you out there is that no matter who you are, no matter what credentials you come to the table with, you're gonna have setbacks, you're gonna have failures. But that's when you learn, that's when you grow. Everybody in this room has had a failure, and it's just a perception of how you deal with the failure. I wanna wrap up with my points to take away. Second year. And the takeaways is, failure is just a point of time. There's a greater lesson in failure than it is successes. Success is not a measure of how well you do, but the impact you have with others. Success can only be measured by how you improve your community. And what I say in the office all the time, do good as you do good. The last thing I want, my hero in any kind of thing has been Muhammad Ali. And he had a quote. I went to his museum a few years ago and just reflected on him. And his biggest quotes just take me to heart. He said, if your dreams don't scare you, you need to get bigger dreams. He who is not courageous enough to take a risk will accomplish nothing in life. Service to others is the rent you pay for your room here on earth. Impossible is not a fact, it's an opinion. Impossible is not a declaration, it's a dare. Impossible is potential, impossible is temporary. Impossible is nothing. A man who views the world at the same age as he's 50 or 60, as he does when he's 20, has just wasted 30 years. With that, I really appreciate you coming out. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you. Please stand up for Mr. Greald. All right. We have a few new additions. If anybody want to grab seats, please come forward. And one more time for Mr. Allen, Conrail Construction.